We are live post Survivor Series from San Diego Petco Park. I have Keila Cash with me as per usual, but we have a special guest tonight to talk about Survivor Series. It is Cal. I know Cal from The Ringer, from Wrestling Worldwide.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, yes.
But you are not a stranger or a newbie at any of this stuff. Cal, let the people know how long you've been doing the wrestling stuff and where you've been doing it and kind of your where are you in this business?
I mean, a Black Wrestling Podcast, that's been a thing that's been since 7-8 years with shout out fam, shout out Mav, shout out Mimi DDM. I was working at Complex for about almost 10 years, and I was doing a lot of wrestling stuff over there. Talked to Roman, talked to Cena, I low-key did a lot of random wrestling interviews over at Complex way before the pandemic and like a lot of this stuff was going, but during the pandemic was able to talk to your Biancas and your Lashleys or whatever. Was working at the Ringer for a couple of years. Shouts out to Ben Cruz, shouts out to Brian H. Waters, Shoemaker, Kaz, and them, the Ringer Wrestling Squad over there. Got to do a number of WrestleManias and SummerSlams, talking to your Dominic Mysterios and your Bron Breakkers and your Gunthers and your Rhea Ripleys. Just I've spent a good chunk of the last 10, 15 years kind of randomly covering wrestling wherever people will have me.
It's awesome. You and I got to hang out a little bit last year at WrestleMania, and I was I gotta get this dude on to come on one of our shows. So.
I appreciate you, man. It's been, like you said, it's been a long time coming. I'm glad to be here.
Keila, how are you?
I am doing well. I survived Survivor Series, and I am good to be done with this show for another year.
So this is an interesting one because I'm kind of at this. I think this ESPN relationship. Don't worry, we'll get into the show. We'll go through the entire show, but I think this is actually a relevant question coming out of Survivor Series. So, when WWE and ESPN signed on to become partners, I thought this is wow, this is just an amazing, amazing opportunity for WWE. I never in my wildest dreams, because I've been watching ESPN since the early 80s, and never in my wildest dreams did I think wrestling would be covered as it is on this channel. And lo and behold, they get the rights. They're running these shows. They are utilizing WWE to help with their new unlimited subscriber service. And so I just figured, WWE is going to understand this relationship, and they're really going to blow this thing out, and they're really going to take advantage of this opportunity. And now we're a few shows into this relationship, and I feel like maybe it's my high expectations to what we've seen, but it feels very much like the same types of shows that we've seen on Peacock, which are, they're okay, they're serviceable, but they aren't like what you would expect from the power of ESPN. And Keila has talked about this on her show, The Wrap, which is now live streaming every Tuesday on our channel. And so I know what Keela's thoughts are, but Cal, you and I haven't talked about this. What do you think about this relationship with ESPN so far? And what do you think about the types of shows that they've put on? This was supposed to be kind of the comeback, okay, now we're going to start setting things in stone here.
Yeah.
What do you think so far about this WWE and ESPN stuff?
I will say, I mean, that $30 a month is a steep price to pay for what we're being given. I'm not saying we're not getting, decent stuff, but I think to echo what you were saying, it felt like with the announcement and the way WrestlePalooza in particular was hyped beforehand, it felt like we were going to be getting the next level of whatever this is supposed to be. And I don't know when you look online, it feels like a lot of it's creative, and I hate to say, I don't want to say that that's something new, because I feel like we've been in a rut or some type of weird funk creatively for a while. But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like was this I don't want to echo Keila. I don't want to speak for anybody, but we really survived Survivor Series, and I don't know. There were moments I see in the chat, the the Liv moment, which I'd seen rumors of, and I'm a Jersey boy, so I was hoping that was going to happen, and in some semblance of the way it was going to happen. But yeah, we are living in. We used to be in a world where WWE was making movies, and now I think they're really about making viral moments, and they're great at getting the angles and getting the people to make the moment. But once you're done sharing the moment, like you're not, unless it's a Cena thing or unless it's like the particular thing that's supposed to happen on the show, you're not getting what you feel like you should have been getting last year, the year before. And again, I don't know if that's creative. I don't know if that's we're doing only so much because we have to do 4 or 5 matches in ESPN. I don't know what the case is, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there are so many moving pieces that they have to save a little bit for everything. Like I was talking about in our Discord, I was talking about how, actually I found a couple of the recent Raws, especially the ones that John Cena's been on. I found those to be more entertaining for what Raw is than I thought this show was for what PLEs are supposed to be. But if you think about it, like you got this 2.5 hour Raw, you have your 3 hour SmackDown. Now we're going back to 3 hour SmackDown. You have your Saturday night's main event. You have your PLEs. Like maybe everything is just to peak to Royal Rumble and WrestleMania now, and you kind of have to share these moments on these other shows. Saturday night main event gets the John Cena retirement. So there may be something in that, and maybe they're just sort of figuring out the best way to utilize it. But if I was giving them any advice, I would say you do need to make these PLEs more worthy of people's time, because I think there's an interesting space for wrestling right now. We are, I enjoy AEW as well, but I am overwhelmed a lot of the times with AEW. It is more time in many cases than I am willing to spend to watch as intently as AEW product has you doing. And on the flip side, what I like about WWE is the lack of ease in watching it, or in just sitting down and going like, oh yeah, this is like very memorable. I know how this show works. And I think there's a space for a happy medium. So I don't think WWE has to completely go away from this moments thing.
No,
but there can be a little bit more meat to the bone when it comes to the actual matches.
Yes.
And so, there's some room to kind of fine tune this thing a little bit. And on the flip side, on the AEW side, I think there's some room to kind of come back a little bit more to the middle as well. So, wrestling's in a good spot, but I almost wish that I could get one product that was kind of like a 60-40 combination between what WWE and AEW does. And I think I'd probably be the happiest wrestling fan ever. Maybe that was New Japan Pro Wrestling like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But okay, Keela, I know you and Scott will talk about this on Tuesday night, but we've now been several of these shows into ESPN relationship, and you and I kind of had this conversation offline, which is, this is kind of like the put up or shut up show. And I didn't think that they got there at all. Like, what do you think?
They're 0 for 3 in terms of like really putting together a good show that leaves goodwill with the people. We're paying a lot more money for this. I'm still paying a lot more money for this until Xfinity and whatever technology they need to accommodate
to
authenticate ESPN Unlimited. It annoys me.
Yeah.
So I'm paying $29.99. I'm doing the bundle with Hulu and Disney Plus, doing that for now. But you're asking fans who are willing to spend a lot of money for these tickets, and they're selling out these shows. And then you put together a 4-match card that was light, and you do 2 WarGames matches that had to be on record the safest WarGames matches in recorded history, because outside of Bron Breakker almost breaking his neck, nothing dangerous really happened on those matches. And I do think it might be because last year, especially for the men's side, they had a lot of injuries.
Yes,
and they might want to play it safer. If that's the case, don't do WarGames. Just go back to basics. Do the traditional Survivor Series elimination tag matches. and call it a day. But for me, if you're in a stadium and you're running stadiums at least 4 or 5 times a year, these shows need to feel more important. I have read at least 3 interviews from ESPN executives who have said, yeah, our relationship with WWE is very good, but we need one of these shows to hit, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, so, it's not like nothing happened on this show. There was a mystery man who came over the top of the cage in the men's match. This mystery man was, I'm pretty sure it was Austin Theory. I know that that's been reported. That's who I thought it was when he came over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of jokingly yelled "Hook" when he came over. But
he didn't have neighbor
but he did some Seth Rollins like moves to set up the finish, which was Bron Breakker then hitting the spear on CM Punk to win the match for the heels. And I'm a little old school here when it comes to war games and cage matches. And just like on the AW pay-per-view, where the cage is supposed to keep people out, though it hasn't in like 20 years or maybe even more, this war games match is supposed to kind of keep things inside the cage. And this man was able to scale over the top. Everyone just like stopped and looked. It was like if time was frozen. They just looked at this man. And he got business done. And that's how we ended this match. So Austin Theory was rumored to actually be on the heel side, and he was not. But I think it makes sense if he's involved, if he's a Paul Heyman person or whatever. I've had people reach out to me and say, well, why are we supposed to think he's anything special when the last time we saw him he wasn't? And I was like, well, in WWE thinking, when you put someone with Paul Heyman today, like that means that you're made man. So Austin Theory, Cal, was that on your bingo card here to lead to the finish of the show?
No, Austin Theory has never been on any cards in my hand in any deck that I'm playing a game in. No, and I wasn't even. I was sitting there trying to figure out who it was, and it wasn't until I looked at the timeline and they showed, because it was a specific way he was posing, and they were like, it was clearly an Austin Theory pose. It's the way he scurried out the cage. I mean, it's intrigue is fun. I mean, I guess my question is, the thought is that we're supposed to think that that's Seth Rollins because he did because like if I know Seth, you're talking about media. Seth recently just said my timeline is like right to WrestleMania. We're talking 6 months or so. Like that's why I looked at the way that person climbed up that Spider-Man up the cage. That doesn't look like somebody that's got another 6 months before they could start, working in the ring or whatever. But they pulled off whatever they pulled off in SummerSlam. I feel like they're going to try and play that intrigue role. Whatever. Is this the Black Scorpion? I don't know. Like, is he? Because my thing is like, if it's Theory, is it supposed to be known that it's Theory at some point, or is Theory just playing a masked Seth Rollins for 5 months
until Seth Rollins is able to come back, and then he can be the guy under the mask?
Yeah, it's kind of grande Americane right now, but I guess if it's working in AAA, it'll work here, right? Yeah.
Keela knows my relationship with one Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I'm not. I've never really believed either guy was main event material. Just the way that their characters worked, and the way that they every time that they're in the ring with a star, they're the ones that get talked down to.
Yes.
Now people will say, "Oh, but Austin Theory beat John Cena at WrestleMania." Yeah, I get it. That there was maybe a couple of months there where Vince McMahon was in love with Austin Theory. Mm-hmm. Actually, let me take that back. After what Bret Hart said about Shawn Michaels, I got to make sure people understand that is not what I'm talking about.
Right.
Vince did think that Austin Theory was something at one point. And then, Vince is gone, and I don't think Triple H sees him in the same way. So to me, if the intrigue is kind of the thing, like you were saying, I could see how at some point Seth shows up underneath this get up and surprises people, and then does the whole thing of like, I fooled everybody in the media like he did last time. But If they unmask him, I don't see how that could be a positive unless Keela does WWE. They don't have that 100% fan backing like they did a year and a half ago. Can you imagine can you see Austin Theory unmasking being a positive thing here?
Oh boy. I honestly don't know. Listen, the funniest thing I saw on the timeline was the fact that someone said that Seth Rollins' knees hasn't moved that fast since 2015. So we know that wasn't him.
Facts.
So clearly, if they continue this for 5 months, if he's going to be the doppelganger, I would actually love that because it would get him over as a babyface. If they unmask him,
Yeah.
then it gets interesting because Paul Heyman, for the last 5 or so years, has seen something in Austin Theory when he had power in creative de facto that was given to him by Vince and then quickly taken away. He did put Austin Theory on TV well before it was time when he was on NXT. So he sees something. So if you're betting the house on Austin Theory, Paul Heyman, you better be right, because normally you have a great eye for talent. You can see the future. If you see any measurable value in Austin Theory, this is the test to see what it is. If they can play off a doppelganger for 5 months and not unmask him and say that he and Seth are working together, that would be good. If he's a part of the vision, that is when the true work begins to get this guy over as a heel.
It might be Paul Heyman's like greatest trick if he's able to do it, but that would be amazing if he could actually get people to believe in Austin. So for Fernando, our guy Fernando, who is so supportive, shout out Fernando. He said he thought it was Karrion Kross. I think that costume would have been a little tighter if it was to the body a little bit more, because Karrion Kross is a thick dude.
He's a bigger guy. Yeah,
it
would have been cool though. It would have been cool reveal, but yeah.
It would have been pretty cool if it was Karrion Kross. I agree. Okay, so the other 2 other kind of main points before we dig into the show. So John Cena, he faced Dom Mysterio. It was a very much a smoke and mirrors match. Tons of interference, a ref bump, a return. One Liv Morgan returned back, and setting up. She teased that she was going to turn on Dom, but then she gave John Cena a taste of his own medicine when John turned on Cody at Elimination Chamber. She tried to do the same face and everything. Like she really pulled that one off, which I thought was pretty funny. But now Cena loses the Intercontinental belt. Dom's got it again. Dom and Liv are kind of back together again. What do you all see? And Keela, we'll start with you. What do you all see for December 13th here? I still assume we're getting Gunther. That was the original plan. I know that they're in the semifinals of that tournament. But now that we have one left, Keela, what do you think about this John Cena last match here? Is it going to be? It feels like there have been moments where it should be big. I know that they sold a ton of tickets in DC and it's like a giant gate. I don't know. It just seems this tournament, I didn't think the tournament was that interesting. The way that they did it, we finally got a bracket, but I don't know. It just like a lot of the top people weren't involved. Now this Saturday night's main event is going to have a lot of NXT folks on it. Where are you with just December 13th? Are you excited? Are you sad? Like what are your feelings?
It's mixed emotions for sure. The tournament has been underwhelming. We've had probably maybe 2 or 3 good matches out of the whole thing. Otherwise, it was kind of like, okay, we did a tournament. Let's just get to Gunther and Cena. I think they're saving Cena's last match for something that's going to actually mean something in the end to get Gunther over. He is going to beat Cena. He's going to retire him. And he's going to have like that title of I am the last guy in the ring with Cena. I got the last W. I retired this guy. And that's going to be major for him. You don't need a championship on the line to validate that victory for Gunther. As for the event itself, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. I hope the NXT talent gets time to shine and they get some wins, because if they don't, what's the point of showcasing them? Like, hey, you made it to DC and you're on the card and you're going to get to lose. Like, no, get some people over, build them up, make it count for something. And then when Cena loses, have that man do a 20-minute retirement speech.
Right.
Let it be a moment that's memorable. I think like the post match is probably going to be more memorable than the match.
Right. And, I'll say this before I get to Cal, I get the Gunther thing. Like, Gunther is someone that they're very much invested in. He's an incredible wrestler. He's a professional dude, great matches. I'm not sure he's at that tippy top yet. So maybe they hope that this can get him there. But the one that I wanted, and shout out to my Fight Game podcast partner, John LaRocca, who mentioned it again, but Trick Williams, I thought would have been the perfect guy to be in this match. Man. Because, we're going back a couple of years where I remember talking to Dave Meltzer and I go, who Trick may not be the next coming of, the greatest wrestler, but who he can be? He can be somebody like John Cena because of the charisma. Yes. And so I thought, if we of course, Monday morning quarterback this tournament, I kind of wish it was Trick. And if it's not going to be Trick, he's not in it. But I do hope there is something on December 13th with Trick and John Cena on the same show in a skit or in a segment of something, because, Gunther beating Cena is going to be fine and it's going to be good for their company. But who is going to kind of being on screen with John get some juice? I think Trick could be the guy to do that. But Cal, just December 13th, where you at with this?
It's I think it's funny. It kind of echoes the conversation we were just having about where WWE is creatively in this time where there's so much going on. They're making, these intricate videos for posters for shows that they're doing next April. They're plotting out the course for a Saudi Arabia Mania in 2 years. They're while they're doing John Cena's final year in tournaments, and there's a lot going on at the same time. And I think what ends up happening is there's ideas that they give you, and then you just kind of have to ride on that idea. Like, I think the thought that, shouts out to the squad of BRP, we're always going to root for everybody black. It's kind of just where we go. So like the conversations about your Trick Williams or your Obafemis, or hell, people that are in the tournament, like your Javon Evans or your Carmelo Hayes, like when I envisioned this tournament, I was thinking, there's somebody that should be getting the rub, just like they gave Brock Lesnar that rub when the Undertaker fell for or looked up at the lights for him. He was the one that beat the Undertaker and broke the streak and all. Heyman had a whole promo that he was using for months off of that. Yeah, that person who wins should be getting that type of shine. I'm assuming it's Gunther. Right now, I'm thinking I thought it was going to be Javon. I was there at Madison Square Garden. Phenomenal match. The Carmelo Hayes match was phenomenal too. He took them out. I don't think it's going to be Solo. I don't think it's going to be LA Knight. Like, it feels like this is a Gunther moment. And that's why I was kind of surprised when people thought it was going to be Cena being IC champion and then also facing Gunther, because Gunther doesn't need that. He already had that for 600 plus days. But I hope that with this being the last thing John Cena's doing, and seeing conversations of Cena being high on the Javon Evans and picking the people in the Iron Survivor tournament, you know what I mean? Like the Iron Survivor matches, like he's doing the things. I'm hoping that this last Saturday night's main event can be kind of, it's almost like the perfect bookend to the guy who came in as the fresh face going up against a Kurt Angle. Like, he understands what that moment can do for somebody, especially for somebody that isn't really known and is getting a huge moment on television like that. I hope that they're doing all the things, paying homage and paying tribute to Cena on that day, giving us good wrestling, but also making sure that whatever NXT competitors are there, they're getting the proper shine, and it's not just they're on TV because we're highlighting the new people that you should be watching on Tuesday on the seat. Like, I don't want to hear advertisements. I want it to kind of be a love letter, as well as what Cena, we saw what he did with Dom. He gave Dom the rub Dom got tonight, even though that match kind of felt like it was very much a Judgment Day, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio story, and not necessarily Cena's last PLE. That rub can happen on Saturday Night's Main Event on December 13th as well. I just hope that Triple H and everybody else is stepping up to the occasion.
Yeah, it is an opportunity. It's kind of weird to me that it's on Peacock because by the hierarchy or the priority, those Saturday night main events have kind of been the lower priority show. But I think, worked out date wise and everything, they want. I know that they still want that relationship to be strong.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll, that's the next big thing. That's only in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tonight. So we'll see what happens there. All right. The last question I have for y'all before we break the show down. Paul Heyman, I think it was last week, said this show, earlier in the week. I keep thinking it's Sunday. I'm so used to Sunday pay-per-views. Paul Heyman said Survivor Series was going to be an infomercial for WrestleMania. Infomercial, I don't know how to use that word because, like you said, some people are paying $30 for this thing. You want to pay $30 for infomercial, but what he was suggesting was that you will kind of see why this product is important based off of Survivor Series. And I thought maybe we would see a little bit more of a tease to what matches will be coming at WrestleMania. Now, at the end of this show, Roman Reigns kind of sitting dejectedly after they lost. CM Punk kind of just like, sorry guys, I lost this match. And then Cody being pissed off himself too. Roman goes to Punk. They kind of do a light fist bump. And they were really the ones who had beef the last time we had this Survivor Series match. And then Roman goes up to Cody and he's about to help Cody up. Cody jumps up to his feet, gets in his face, very, just kind of angrily, very intense.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, Roman says this is the last time we're ever tagging. And so it looks like, if just based off of the subtlety, and it really wasn't subtle. They had Roman on mic for that specific moment.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe we're getting Roman and Cody part 3 at WrestleMania, which means Roman probably has to win the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber to call the shot. And then maybe Punk and Bron Breakker. It looks like Bron Breakker got the pin on CM Punk.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you thought was set up big for WrestleMania, Cal?
Oh gosh, I mean, in the women's match, not really. Unfortunately, I mean, I think in the women's match, honestly, the one thing they set up for me is give me Charlotte Flair, Asuka whenever. I just saw it on Friday. I just watched it tonight. You want to run that at Mania? Go right ahead.
They're so good together.
They really work well together. Yeah, I think honestly, it may be more what's missing, because even looking at the Stephanie Vaquer Nikki Bella match, my thought going out of that is I was hoping that, you kind of can see when a Liv Morgan, when a Bianca Belair, when a Naomi isn't around, like there's only so many women that can give Stephanie Vaquer what she needs. And right now, especially for Mania, she needs the heel that I wish Nikki Bella could be. Because I think Nikki Bella turning heel right now was great, but Stephanie needs somebody that she can rap with, and I don't know if Nikki Bella is rapping at that level at this point in her career. No disrespect to her, but yeah, no, I don't know what they were. I was trying to figure out what they were doing with Logan Paul. I don't know what they're doing with the Usos. Yeah, it feels like if the only infomercial really feels like, is Roman going to go with Cody? Is CM Punk going to wrestle Braun? What's this Seth Rollins mystery person going to be? Like, those really feel like the only stories that came out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you about Nikki Bella. We'll talk about it more when we get to that match. But Keela, was there anything else that you could gather was kind of being teased for WrestleMania?
I got a whole lot of nothing. The watermark came on. I thought, oh, turn's about to happen. No, the show just went off the air.
Yeah.
And it was a very kind of like non-dramatic way to end the show. Like Roman's last words to Cody was, "I'll never team with you again." And that was it. That was it. Like, that was the end. The Usos are just in the cut. Like, well, we'll see him for Christmas, I guess. And then Punk, I did laugh at the Zebros moment between the two of them. I'm telling you guys, for the 5 minutes they were in Zootopia, they're gonna get like a spin-off movie that's gonna make like a lot of money between these two. I believe that. But otherwise, I didn't get a lot of WrestleMania vibes. Paul Heyman lied. If this was an infomercial, I want my free time back because I got nothing. Even in the women's matches, I didn't get much in terms of a WrestleMania read. I get more of that from your commercials for WrestleMania regarding your direction.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, let's start with the women's WarGames match. I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, there's so much talent in this match. Are they just going to let them cook? And they didn't really cook, I didn't think. Like, you know, a lot of the spots seem to be really choreographed, and I think you do need to do that for some of them, but you have some of the best women in of all time in wrestling, and I feel like you should have let them go out there and just really tell the story of, you know, why they just dislike the other team. And you know, it kind of started with Asuka being kind of the leader, and I didn't get the vibe that, you know, she was like, I just really didn't get the vibe that the women really needed to have this 5-on-5 match. Like, there wasn't really enough beef for me. I thought the baby faces were almost never in peril in this match. Like, of course they had the advantage, and when the baby faces have the advantage in WarGames, it kind of throws off the psychology. And AEW just did this in their Blood and Guts match in the men's match. And what they did was they had Mark Briscoe sell an injury. So they actually didn't have the advantage. So I thought, okay, the WWE will do something similar here. And they didn't. They just let the babyfaces have the advantage in the whole match. And then they go on and to win. So we'll go over some of the stuff here. So Charlotte and Asuka start. And like Cal said, they have great chemistry together. They had one of the best women's WrestleMania matches of all time several years ago as well. So babyface have the advantage. Iyo is in next, and then Becky. Iyo brings in a trash can, so this is where we can bring in weapons, which makes me wonder, why doesn't everybody bring in a weapon if you can? Like it shouldn't, like if you can do it, why doesn't everybody do it? Some people decide not to do it. I'm like, I don't.
You see Iyo with a garbage can lid, and you're kind of just like, oh, what's she doing with that? And you kind of don't think about it. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
So Becky brings in a kendo stick. Then Alexa was in next. She didn't have a weapon. Kairi was next and brought in a chain and she just balled up her fist with this chain and immediately started punching Charlotte and Alexa. AJ Lee came in, and I'll give her credit. She did not come in skipping. She knew the job here. And they did this spot where Becky is holding the door shut. And so AJ's got to climb over the top. And then they repeated this spot with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, which is something that they rarely do. They rarely will do that. Like, they have producers who will like make sure that they don't do that. And they did in the men's match. And then AJ, so AJ did a dive onto a couple women. I thought, you know, Keelan knows that I thought AJ was really bad in that WrestlePalooza match. I thought AJ was actually pretty darn good in this match, by the way. So I want to give AJ her credit. So Nia Jax was in next. What was she had the rosy cheeks, and I was trying to figure out if there was a character she was shouting out or something, but like she had the really like the bright red rosy cheeks, and I was like, I wonder if she's like cosplaying somebody. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything.
I don't know if you all saw who she was trying to be, or maybe she just wanted the makeup to look like that, which is all good. Rhea then came in and brought in the trash can to match Iyo's lid. And then Lash Legend was last in. So let's talk about Lash here for a second, because Lash is the newbie on the main roster. The audience did not know her music when she came out. they did not react to her. And I don't know, I don't know if they could have done a better job kind of setting her up on WWE TV for maybe a month or two before putting her in this match. Maybe if they had to do it again, they would possibly do that. And then they had her come in, and she was doing like the China-esque spots with the women. She had Alexa kind of like Terry Runnels in the Marlena character with China.
Yeah.
And she just, she came in as the badass, knocked all the baby faces down. There was a moment where Asuka was about to spray Rhea with the mist. Charlotte bumped Rhea out of the way, and Asuka sprayed Lash Legend. So that kind of knocked Lash Legend out of the match. Like that was a way to kind of get her out of there. But what did you think about Lash's performance here? She kind of has this. It's not her debut. She's been on WWE main roster television, but this is her like big moment. What did you think of her performance tonight, Cal?
Yeah, I looking at her on SmackDown, I was trying to figure out how they had it specified on Wikipedia, and in fact, I think they did say that her matches with Jakara Jackson are technically her, or there may have been one match in particular. She was in the tournament, or some was technically her main roster debut. I don't think that she was set up for success in terms of like a reaction in Petco Park. But I think part of that is on TV. She kind of just got associated with Nia Jax. She may have cut a promo. I don't think they've done a lot of explaining of who she was in story. It's kind of just like, here's my girl Lash. She'll jack you up too. She performance was fine. I think in ring, when she got to the ring, she did what she needed to do in terms of the showcase of the last person who's going to wreck shop in a match like WarGames for that. It was funny to see Trick tweet, damn, she got that ring on in there though. Like it was crazy. It was crazy to think that happened. But no, I think she did what she needed to do. I don't know if it's the theme or if it's the fact that people didn't know who she was, but it did. I was expecting a bigger pop for her, a bigger reaction, I should say, when she entered in there. But I don't think that's any fault of hers. I think that was just she wasn't set up the way she should be for something like that.
Right. What'd you think of her tonight, Keela?
In the ring, I thought that she had her spots perfectly. The presentation, the execution, being the closer, that was a choice because music is so key in WWE. I saw this weird debate on social media. Like, it's not about Lash, y'all. It's about the music.
Right.
And the pop wasn't there because they don't know the music and they really don't know her as a personality. If you're an NXT fan and stan of hers, of course you're going to love her music and you're going to love her. This is a general audience now of WWE fans who need to get to know Lash, and she needs the mic time to sell herself, sell the character. Tell me why you're tagging with Nia Jax after feuding with her on NXT for the last few months. Explain why you're aligning with Asuka and Kairi Sane. The story was never verbalized on WWE television, so why should the fans pop for someone they don't really know like that? But once she got in there, hit the power moves, the women sold for her, the fans started to ooh and ah. That's how she gets over, but you have to do the other things as well to finish the job.
You know what I also think is pretty interesting is the way that today's WWE works is that you are on NXT to get your reps in, to create your character, to get ready for the main roster. And then when you come over to the main roster, you're supposed to have those fans who saw you on NXT just be like, all right, that's my person. I've been with this person since day one. And then I started thinking about The Undertaker when he debuted in 1990 at the Survivor Series. People who only watched WWE, they had no idea who this dude was.
Right.
Because they had never seen him before. I was like, oh, that's Mean Mark. Like,
yes,
I was like, oh, that's cool. Like he's actually doing something here. But that's because I was watching, both, and I was watching different stuff back then, and I knew. But it was so cool to the people who had never seen him because he was kind of impervious to pain, and like he was like this unique character. And I think they even called him Kane the Undertaker on that show.
Kane the Undertaker, yeah.
So in today's wrestling, you can't actually have that moment because you can't just show up or debut a Lash on the main roster without people knowing who she is. So it's a little bit different. And I hope for her that she is able to establish her character and that they don't see that lack of pop, because sometimes, the people in the back are just looking for reasons.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't see that lack of pop as a negative and as something that is her fault, like you said, because it's absolutely not her fault.
Yeah, I hear you, and I do echo that. I will say though, Triple H made sure to mention her in the post show. So and again, they put her in that position for a reason. I think they did what they thought what they were trying to do correctly. They didn't set her up for success, but yes, I think they right now their thought is we got something with her. I don't know if they're looking at her like J2. I don't know what the case is, but I think they feel like they've got something. They just need to, like Jade, set it up properly before you get to certain steps.
And the thing about Lash, Keela's an Atlanta Dream fan, and I think you don't have to pretend that Lash was this like WNBA superstar or anything, because she wasn't, but that league is also like the hardest league to get into. Right. But I think there could be a nice bridge with the WNBA. Like, let's use Lash as a former player and let's get a few of these WNBA women sitting in the front row on TV.
Might as well.
And because that is the audience that I would chase if I was, pro wrestling. I would look and see what is the WNBA doing that we're not doing, because they're able to grow and draw this new fan base. I would lean into that. I would love to see them utilize Lash with that bridge to the WNBA. I think that would be really cool.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Iyo, as we had hoped, does her trash can spot. So she's on the top of the cage, and I thought this was really cute. AJ Lee is the one with the trash can. And AJ Lee is like trying to jump up and give it, but she's not tall enough. And she wasn't really trying to jump. I don't think she could have got it there anyways.
Right.
But Rhea decides, okay, I'm gonna put AJ on my shoulders. I'll put it up, and I was like, this is why you can practice this thing, because you can make sure that she can actually reach.
Right.
Iyo does the trash can spot like like we were hoping to see. I think that's like the spot that you want to see every Survivor Series now, or every WarGames now.
Mm-hmm.
So she did it on the 4 heels, knocked them down like bowling pins, and it left Becky for last. Becky's trying to run. She's trying to get out. She doesn't want to be the last person in. And the baby faces all get to Becky, hit their moves, and then AJ gets her to tap out in the Black Widow. Which I guess maybe AJ and Becky could be one of the programs, though I don't know how many more times you can do this unless AJ just goes away again for another, several months. Then maybe you can do the one-on-one finally at WrestleMania if that is what they want to do. But AJ gets the tap out, so Becky taps out to lose the match for the heels, and the baby faces win this match. Keela, what did you think about the way that they ended this thing?
I thought it ended well. I enjoyed the match for the most part. Very subdued in terms of weaponry. Like, as you said, people sometimes brought weapons. Other people said, I'm cool. I don't need to bring anything.
I got these. These are
I got these.
Right.
I got okay, Friday. You just need these, son. Just need your fists to fight.
Right.
That's all you need. You don't need a chair. You don't need a table. You don't need anything but your fists.
Thanks.
So I was like waiting for more violence, honestly, during the match. And then it didn't really happen. And then I thought to myself, well, we could have just had a traditional Survivor Series match versus WarGames. Would have opened up more spots, would have kind of gave more action down the stretch, and you would have avoided that Lash less of a pop when she came out, because she would have came out with the team. But I digress on all of that, So I thought the match ended well. AJ looked a lot better in this match versus WrestlePalooza, in my opinion, as well. everything shit was clean, and I was very happy about that. The big test will be when this one-on-one with her and Becky. Are they going to wait until WrestleMania? I honestly don't know if they're going to wait that long. We shall see. But I do expect them to continue this match and Becky to get back her IC title before the end of the year.
And if we try and guess what could be going on with the women come WrestleMania, because I think that is maybe the most disappointing thing about this show is, you know, when Paul Heyman was talking about the infomercial, it's pretty clear he was only talking about the dudes. He wasn't talking about the women. What could it be a Rhea versus Lash? Could that be kind of on their, you know, on their whiteboard? And then see if they can get there. I don't know if they could get Lash ready in 5 months for her. Could it be, you know, maybe it's going to be Charlotte and Jade. I know they've teased that a little bit, but yeah, it's like, I'm trying to figure out what is like the money match for the women. Bianca coming back, I think, is going to be very important for them. Yes. But still, I don't see that, like, you know, I've wanted Bianca against Rhea Ripley for how many years now, and we haven't gotten it. We had the 3-way last year, which was fantastic, but I do want to see that one-on-one. But yeah, there wasn't anything that I'm like, okay, that's the money right there. Like, was there anything, Cal, that you could think of?
No, I think it's kind of indicative again of where they're at with, because they got great women. I don't know if they're putting that time in to really explore what some of these situations could be. And I think, and I also do think injury plays a big part in that. Even with Liv coming back, I feel like Liv may be more, I'm not saying she won't be going for titles, but I think she may be more involved with Judgment Day business at the time. So it's tough to see who you could really slot some places. I would imagine a Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill. I'd pencil that in for Mania. Rhea Ripley and Lash Legend, it makes sense. I feel like Jade and Lash are two women who they're moving in parallel, you know, formation right now in terms of like Jade may have a year or two ahead of Lash in terms of like being in that main roster system, but you can see, like, you know, Lash may not have a singles match. I mean, she may be with Nia Jax and have some type of you know, tag match or be in some type of other situation because it may be too early for her to be in a Rhea Ripley match, but we're getting that match eventually. Hopefully, Lord willing, everybody's not injured. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you know, that Bianca Rhea match, that's been something that's been penciled in on my list for 3-4 years at this point, and you know, the stars haven't aligned.
Yeah. All right, so then we got to Dom and John Cena. There was a spot very early in this match, and it was almost like, I was like, oh my God, we're tempting fate here because of what happened to Bron Breakker in WarGames. So there's a spot. Dom is on the outside. He goes for her Hurricanrana on Cena, and Cena doesn't go, you know, I get why they did this spot, because Cena, in some cases in this last run, hasn't been the most athletic dude in the ring. And so he kind of doesn't go over with Dom, and Dom falls on the side of like his head and neck and shoulder. Now, when I watched it on replay, I was like, okay, he didn't actually go down that hard, but the visual of someone falling like that, as a wrestling fan, we know that could be real bad. So there was like this like worry about, oh my gosh, you know, is Dom hurt? And then if you understand how they normally shoot this stuff, if it was real, they would have immediately taken the camera. They would have had John Cena go in the ring, and John Cena would have had to do some stuff, song and dance, while they were tending to Dom outside. But they did not do that. Instead, they brought 2 people there to kind of tend to him. I don't know what the one woman was doing. She was like standing there and like looking at him. And then but the camera was clearly on Dom. And so that led to, this is probably my favorite spot of the night, only because of how happy Roxanne seemed to be in this moment.
A childhood dream came true.
Yes.
So Raquel gets Cena up, body slam. Roxanne does the pop rocks. And as she gets Cena ready to do the pop rocks, She cannot hide the joy in her face.
I love it.
And I was just like, man, that is something there. You know, that is just goodness right there.
Beautiful.
Cena does the pop rocks, goes along with it. They get kicked out of the match. And at that point, everybody was like, oh, they're getting kicked out. So we are clearly getting Liv now. This is clearly happening. Didn't happen quite yet. As we thought, Dom was faking it. So the women did the spots on Cena and allowed Dom to come in and frog splash Cena. The ref looks at Dom and he's like, nope, I'm not counting because you're being a dick. You're trying to trick us. And I was like, that's a weird thing because the pop is in Cena kicking out. The pop is not in the referee kicking the women out, though there was a little bit of a pop. But I was like, you should have just had Cena kick out, and then the crowd would have went crazy. But they didn't do it that way. Dom was on his Eddie Guerrero steez here. He lost his boot, and Cena was stuck holding the boot. He hits the 619 frog splash for 2. As he's putting the boot back on, Cena hits the AA. I think some people thought that was going to be the finish. It was not. There was a ref bump. Cena went to shoulder block Dom. He moved out of the way. He hit the ref. Then Finn and JD come out, and they do some stuff. Cena gets them both up in the AA, and I don't remember who was the announcer who was talking about that strength. And I turned over to Dave Meltzer. I was watching with Dave, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the Big Show's heavier than both of those dudes at the moment where John had to put him in that movie. He's like, yeah, he's like those dudes together are like max 360. I was like,
right.
But still, the visual of it is very impressive. Yeah. Cena gets them both AA, drops them both, and then he hits Dom with the AA. Ref is down. This is when Liv comes out. Dom is so happy. Then she slaps Dom. Dom takes a bump. Then she jumps into Cena's arms. He's kind of confused. She's smiling, and the camera's perfect on her. She's smiling, and then she gives the bad girl face. And then she kicks John low and gives him a belt shot, and that leads to Dom winning the match. So that part of it was very entertaining. It was, like I said, the whole match is smoke and mirrors. This wasn't, necessarily the best wrestling match, but it was the one that I think kind of had the fans eating out of their hands the most on this night. What were overall your thoughts of the way it ended and just kind of the creative that went into the finish, Cal?
Oh, you talk about they had me. I was eating out of their hands. I'd like to pride myself and be like, yeah, I know it's about. I can see. All right, yeah, they're about to. When he went for that Hurricane Rana spot and it hit his shoulder, I'm sitting in this chair. Oh no, because I'm like, this is the one match. I'm like, all right, I want Liv to come back. I want Dom to, like. There were so many things I wanted to happen in this match, and it for a second. Because Dom is very good. Dom is really on his head. He was like, yeah, I can't move my arm. Like, he's really playing the role. And then when I saw him spring up, I'm like, all right, we're good money here. We're good money here. But I liked that. It may have been a little, for Cena's last PLE, I appreciated that he got to do, like, it was Stu, and I guess Stu's son was working with him, before he went out to the ring. That was cool. And he was slapping hands with all the fans and doing all that stuff. And Alicia Taylor, anytime I get to see her with that intro, is always amazing. But this was really a Dominic Mysterio San Diego Liv Morgan reunion, storyline. And it's part of what I feel like John Cena knows that he should be doing as the OG, as the elder statesman on his way out. If you have an opportunity where we book this, you're a Grand Slam champion, but your next PLE, your last PLE, can be in your current opponent's hometown, and there's a lot that could be riding on making this person get put on that pedestal. You heard the way they were chanting for Dom. You do it. He knows what he's doing. He wasn't even caring about any of that Judgment Day stuff. He talks to the camera like, hey man, we got one more left. He was soaking in the moment. He wasn't worrying about that stuff. I saw Fernando in the chat say it was my match of the night as well, but I think it's because of a lot of that stuff and not necessarily because of it being like 100% well wrestled match. Like
Right,
they did
right,
what
right,
they
right.
needed to do to get where they needed to go.
Keela, thoughts on Cena and Dom?
It was a beautiful overbooked mess. Dom the thespian. Listen, we knew it was a rib and it was a work, but listen, the way he landed had me horrified.
Yes.
Him on the ground, like, oh my God, my collarbone. It's like, I can't, it hurts. Oh my God, I can't move. Like, it was so convincing until you realize when the referee says, we need help. Like, okay, now this is not real.
We need a medic.
I need a medic. We need some help versus throw the X up. Let's call the match off.
Right.
But then, like, when Raquel and Roxanne got in the ring, mind you, why would you get in the ring when your guy's down? You're not providing any kind of medical care for your partner, for your team member. And then, like, Roxanne was like the happiest person in the world to hit a move on her hero. One of her heroes in wrestling was incredible. And then Liv's return. It was expected. I think that people thought she was going to come back around the Royal Rumble, but she exceeded expectations in terms of rehab, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm looking forward to now is every Monday night, the tension-filled Judgment Day segments.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one is going to get along with each other. And I just wonder at this point, how long can WWE really hold off on turning Dirty Dom? Are they really going to stick with him being a heel? Because this whole Judgment Day thing is going to implode at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how are they going to do it? Are they going to turn Finn? Are they going to turn Roxanne? Are they going to turn Dom and Liv? It can go in any direction, but I do hope they don't miss the peak of getting a babyface Dom over in a big way.
You know, when Liv or when Roxanne first came into the Judgment Day side, I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. Her and Liv are kind of gonna get on each other's nerves, and she's gonna kind of go behind Liv's back and try and get Dom's attention, and that's gonna be a feud coming out of that. Then when Liv got hurt, it seems like they put a pause on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to think that Liv hasn't watched any television since she's been gone, in order for her to be okay with this, or maybe she's really the smartest one out of everybody, and she's kind of setting up the downfall. They can go with it a couple different ways, but this is it gives us a little bit longer with these folks, because ultimately we know what these folks are all set up to do. It's that they're set up to implode, but we kind of like hanging out with them every Monday night.
Yeah,
they're still some of my favorite segments on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace to the character of Carlito. But like I want to see what happens, but I don't want to see it too soon, because I still enjoy them and I still want to see them. I still want to be like, that's one of the segments I look forward to every time I watch Raw.
I think I don't know if Paul Heyman was talking about women's segments in his infomercial comment, but I will say, and I didn't mention it earlier, but this may have been an infomercial segment. Because my thought was, after the match, my thought has always been that it's Dom going babyface is going to be him leaving the Judgment Day.
Yes,
I could the addition of Roxanne in the Judgment Day is perfect for Liv Morgan. You can run that match at WrestleMania, and I think Roxanne deserves a singles match against somebody like a Liv Morgan at WrestleMania. Just the intrigue alone, the being able to do all the press and everything, that's going to be really amazing for her. I think you get a situation where at WrestleMania, Dom and Liv split from the Judgment Day, but then the baby face turn, maybe at the SummerSlam, because they linked up at SummerSlam to do the thing, is Dom finally leaving Liv, and that's him turning babyface. I don't know what you do with Liv after that. You can probably do whatever you want with her. They seem to be very big on putting her in everything, but I think that may be because he's going to have to get away from Judgment Day, which is kind of the story they've been telling in the interim, but it's really his association with Liv. They're great for each other, but it's like the Joker and Harley Quinn at a certain point. Like it's too toxic for them to do anything that's going to be of any benefit, especially if you want. Dom's going to be a star for a while, but he's going to have to get that babyface run to really set that off.
Yeah, and you know what? We all know it's going to happen, and the longer that they can, like Keila said before, so that they don't miss the peak, they could extend it as much as possible, but they do have to do it. You can't just keep extending it. I love this version of Dom, but it'll get a little tired.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they will do it before it does that. So 7-Eleven said he thinks this is the beginning of a face turn for Dom and Liv together. Shout out to 7-Eleven in the chat. And then Brad, we'll get to this in a second, but I wanted to throw Brad's comment up. He something we talked about earlier. He's tired of hearing Austin Theory as the masked person because that would be such a letdown. I don't know if there are other theories. What other theories? Somebody said immediately Randy Orton. I was like, nope, that brother is too small to be Randy Orton.
Sir.
And Randy Orton is not climbing over no cage.
No. Listen, no thick thighs. That was not Randy.
Right. No, not at all. Not at all. It's El Grande Americano. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
El Grande 5. El Grande 5.
Yeah, could have been for sure. Okay, so now we get to this match is so interesting to me because Stephanie McCurr and Nikki Bella. I saw some people say that they liked the match. I saw a lot of moments in this match where I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. Like, was that a screw up or were they just not on the same page? Like, there's a couple moments like that. And I was kind of waiting for something to happen because Nikki Bella does the turn to set up this match. And then Stephanie just flat out beats her right in the middle. And I'm like, okay, well, where do we go from here? Not that I thought we were going to get the return of Brie or whatever, like, but I thought we were going to get like a heel Nikki doing something. And it was just not, it was just like, I don't know. There was no moments to where I was like, wow, okay, we're setting up like Stephanie's got to come from, do this and do that. And it was just kind of a match. So I don't know what the purpose of it was. I'm not sure where this leaves Nikki because I've been pro Nikki's comeback because I think, you can bring back all these old dudes, right? And the only woman that they generally usually bring back is Trish. And, Trish has been fantastic. So I was like, okay, got the opportunity to bring back Nikki, who was a giant star. And I just thought, man, so far it has been a little bland. Her character's not over. Okay, turn her heel. That's really smart. And then she comes out tonight. And I didn't think the audience really cared that much. So it was kind of unfortunate because they did that work to turn her. But I don't sense that it worked, at least for this crowd. And then when you have Stephanie just pin her, Devil's Kiss and Corkscrew Splash for the win. I guess, Nikki did have the pin on her after the rack attack where Stephanie got her foot on the rope. I don't know. I just was kind of wondering, like, what was the whole reason for this match? Keila, I know you and Scott talked a lot about this over the past several weeks, but what was your expectation for what they're doing with Nikki? And then what was your feeling after the match was over?
I want to preface this by saying I like Nikki Bella. I think that she's overhated on social media completely. But this run has been underwhelming. And this turn is curious, especially when you just brought back Liv Morgan, who they were setting up to feud with her at Evolution before Liv's injury. So now I wonder, well, who's going to be turning to reignite that feud if you decide to go back to it? Now I'm confused. I don't know what you're going to do. As for the match with Stephanie, it just felt like they were on different pages at times. Like things didn't really flow the way it should have. I think they kind of pulled things together towards the end. But after the prior match with Cena and Dominic, they were in a dead spot and the crowd was kind of out of it. Nikki wasn't believable as a challenger to beat Stephanie. The fans love Stephanie, but she needs someone that can match her energy, that can match her work rate. And unfortunately, Nikki isn't that person. I think that Nikki needs her sister. Whatever barrier, and I know it probably is her husband because he works for the opposition. I don't care. Sign her because a Bella Twins run would help Nikki a lot. She feels lost with her sister. bring Brie back, have them have a tag team title run for the road, and just call it a day. Because the singles run with Nikki, it isn't landing for me. I hate to say it. I just think that right now, in the era in which we're in, she's getting lost in a lot of good people that she just can't measure up to right now. And it's not her fault. It's just, unfortunately, some people are simply better.
The athleticism and the expectation for women's matches today is very high. Nikki has always been a hard worker. So not to say that she can't get there, but it's almost like the crowd doesn't want to be patient with her at the same time. So that's kind of a little hard when they don't react to anything. And, I think, like, the one way that they could have done this, and Cal, I want to get your thoughts on this. Why didn't she just go very devilish heel, cheating? Like, this match should have been her cheating and trying to win the match by nothing but cheating, being a heel, getting the ref, doing just underhanded stuff to by any means necessary win this match. But that didn't happen either.
Yeah, I'm glad that she went heel because I'm not a babyface Nikki Bella. It's not working for me. Some of her best stuff in her career has been heel. But I think we may be looking at like the true difference of the eras. Like we're at a time where I don't want to speak for anybody, but like I'm more invested in the women on the card than I've ever been, and it's because their matches are just better a lot of the time, especially in the WWE when they get to really work. But we're at a time we're seeing like an amazing crop of women doing amazing, matches and work. At a time where AJ Lee, who like was at the beginning of that her and Paige being the beginning of that type of work in WWE, starting to get pushed. They were still having 8-minute matches, but they were trying. Nikki Bella was the era that they were trying to move out of to get to where we are now. So it's weird that like you can kind of see with all of these women, especially on this card, where some people are. And Nikki's got the character, and Nikki can bring the heel, but when that bell rings, it's not the same as a Tiffany Stratton or whoever you want to name, Asuka, whoever you want to name on the card who can get in there and really work with the Stephanie Vacquer.
And there are some killers coming up too.
Yes, it's rough. It's rough, but like you said, if the Hardy Boys can come back and hold 2 and 3 titles at one time and have these runs, and there's talk of them possibly going to WWE when this TNA contract is done. Do it with the Bella Twins. I know too many people, women, wrestling fans in general, who say Total Divas, I was cool with wrestling, but it's like that show is landmark for me getting into wrestling where I am right now. So you kind of have to honor a legion of fans by doing that. And it's goddamn AEW tribalism nonsense.
I know.
It sucks. It sucks because it's stuff like that. It just should be easy. It should be easy.
It should be easy. A slam dunk. It's like, what are we doing? Sign Brie. She goes to every freaking show. She does a podcast with her sister. You have WWE talent on that podcast. It's not like an embargo. Just sign Brie. Just stop playing. Stop playing.
I would guess that is the next logical step if you still want to invest in the Nikki character. There is still something there. They just have to untap it, and this is where it comes to creative. This is where do you want to invest in the women's storylines as much as you want to invest in the men's storylines? You keep telling us that you do, but what we see on the television doesn't really equate to that. So hopefully they can figure this one out. I mean, you got 3 damn hours of SmackDown now. That show should be half women's segments. Like really, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. So there's opportunity there. I think they just need to invest and they need to get creative, and they can't just continue going down the old tropes of what normally works, because this audience is telling them we're not good with this. So let's figure out something else. All right, main event, men's WarGames. CM Punk is out first with Bron Breakker, and I thought, CM Punk is out first. I wonder why. And I thought, okay, not going to be Jay because that brother gets too tired.
Right.
Not going to be Jimmy because he is not the one that's going to get the crazy reaction for being first.
Right.
And of course, not going to be, it could have been Cody, actually. It could have been either Cody or Punk, but then it wasn't going to be Roman for sure because Roman was going to be last no matter what. So I was like, okay, I get it. Punk first, that's fine. And then on the other side, I was like, oh, Bron Breakker, very interesting. And I was like, well, if there's anybody that has a gas tank on that side, it's Bron Breakker. And that made some sense. And then if what we are sort of led to believe is the case based on the booking of this match, if they do get into something as we head towards WrestleMania, we got a little bit of like a preview of that in this match by them being the first two guys. So I thought it was a pretty good start to this match. Drew was the perfect guy coming in next. I thought, I was like, Drew shouldn't be first because he has to be the one to get the advantage. He's the chicken shit heel. This is perfect for Drew to come in. He came in second. And of course, then you bring in Cody. So I thought the booking and of the order was really smart. What did you guys think about two guys got blood in this match? First was Punk. I couldn't actually tell. I wasn't really looking that closely because I didn't think he was actually going to bleed.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where they raked his face against the cage, and then I think it was Drew maybe scraped his like fingernails on his head or something. Somebody did that. And then Cody had the busted eye from the previous angle, and then that got bloodied. But for it being WarGames, is this the first time we've ever had blood in WarGames since they brought the match back? I was trying to remember.
I mean, again, to talk about WarGames being safe I this year, I think it's kind of, that's the one thing. It's notorious WWE is not big on visible blood these days. I'm glad they've stopped making things black and white on the WWE Vault, but yeah, it is interesting because I mean Cody's mark was very visible, from for the last couple of weeks or what have you, and I guess they were talking about the blood feud between CM Punk and Drew, so it made sense that he bled, but like you said, that was kind of it. They didn't really bother with anybody else, but I'm glad that Blood and Guts lives up to the name because I mean, at least one of these fights can be, because this is not WarGames at all. I don't know if they're going in with actual tactical thinking about this.
Yeah.
They're just in there fighting, but if you want to see the real carnage, they do it free on TV or however much you got to pay to watch that these days. Over on the other side. Yeah,
the carnage of both the men's and the women's match. A drastic difference from what we were getting in this match, which was like just a bunch of spots to kind of, move along whatever the stories that they were telling. Right. So then after that, we got, and I really want to get Keela's thoughts once about the Jay stuff, but so this is where they do a doomsday device and Braun falls right on his head, and I'm not saying like when you fake that spot in the other match that this is like bad luck to do it, because it could happen but that was immediately what I thought. I was like, man, like this stuff could really happen and you're kind of faking it and then it's going to happen. I mean, Braun, it seems like he was okay. He is a maniac. So even if he wasn't, he just got that giant neck, and I hope that he's good, because he is about to go on a crazy run here over this year and the next year, I think. So cross my fingers for Braun that he's okay. So Logan Paul comes in next. He and Cody go to the top of the cage and just sit down and start throwing punches. And I realized Logan was in the wrong spot because he had to scoot his butt over like 2 feet to get next to Cody, which I thought was kind of funny. Jimmy Uso is in next. And here's where I'm like, okay, Jimmy Uso, the smart one. He brings a table in. It's like, yeah, finally brings in a weapon. Bronson Reed comes in next, immediately hits 3 tsunamis.
Yes.
And so that was a pretty good spot. And then Jay comes in. So one of the thoughts was that Jay was going to come in first so he could do the song and do the yeets and everything, play the music 100 times. That didn't happen. He comes in here, but then he cleans house. All the heels are laying out, and then he does the twirl to say, play my music again. This man ran up the cage, Keela, was yeeting with the crowd while the heels were down. It gave everybody, a good 30 seconds of breather time. But what was your thought, Keela, on this just yeeting in a WarGames match and playing the music again?
I wish there was a shark that would have jumped over the cage at that exact moment, because I think we have reached our limit of the encore when you are yeeting during a WarGames match in progress.
In progress.
And I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
I am confused. You hired a Goodyear blimp to showcase the audience during this 30-second intermission. I laughed at the fact that they didn't even bother with a countdown clock. Like, his music timed Brock's entrance basically in the match. I was like, what are we doing? This has now become parody, and I'm scared. And I need Jay to retire the yeeting. I know it's very popular, but I will guarantee you in 2026, this will turn bad. This will turn sour. People will get tired, and they will like, I've had my fill of this.
So this was my next question, and Keela, you gave me your answer. Cal, do you think that there is a chance that people get tired of it? Like, I'll tell you, I was at the second ever Netflix Raw. It was in San Jose, and I hadn't seen a line to get into this building since the Attitude Era. That's how hot people were for this show. So we go in, we're kind of walking around, and the Jey Uso kid fan base was front and center. And also, and I've told Keela this, also the non-rhythmic yeeting was at an apex too at this show.
Makes sense.
But so I saw it when it was like, maybe it's hottest.
Right.
And now, what happens a lot in wrestling, you just do it so much and you kill it. Like, can you see this kind of getting old in 2026 to where the fans don't respond like that Pavlovian response anymore?
Yeah, I think I'm sitting there trying to think, what was the yeet situation during the Rumble? I mean, the Rumble, he won the Rumble, but was it a crazy yeet celebration to the ring? Or, because I remember he had the white on, did he have the flowers on, or I forget what it was, but I feel like he may have ran to the ring. I don't know if it was a long yeet situation. I think once he does the yeets in the Rumble and the yeets in the Survivor Series, and like all the places you can possibly yeet, yeah, it should be over. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, the way people have been talking about Jey Uso over the summer, I feel like they're ready for it to be. The crowds aren't. The crowds aren't ready for it to be done.
They're
There's too many
still
kids
going hard with that stuff.
On TV in the arenas. Those kids can't wait to start yeeting with Jey Uso and Jimmy. But I think online, and eerily enough, don't let LA Knight get to the position people want him to get to, because going to these shows, all I would hear leaving is yeah, and like it was, and those are the two guys they wanted to win the Money in the Bank, and at a certain point they're going to turn on them too. It's gonna happen. When, I don't know. I wonder if Jay's going to want to initiate it. It's got to be tiring.
I think he's going to initiate it because he realizes, like, we're hitting the bubble. Yes. And thankfully for him, there's a delay between the live crowd still loving him and the internet crowd hating him.
Yes.
Until the live audience stops buying the merch and stop yeeting, he's good. But he has to know ahead of time his expiration date, because he knows it's coming. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Easy heel turn, though, right?
He needs it.
Once they stop eating, easy heel turn.
Yes.
Easy.
You guys were behind me, and you're not behind me. You want to know what the best one was, like, from yesteryear? Enzo and Big Cass. I remember WrestleMania weekend. I think I left the NXT show, the famous NXT show where Vince McMahon was like, "Oh yeah, women's wrestling, it can work," even though he's like how many years behind the curve there. I walk out of that small building at my alma mater, San Jose State University, and there's like 3 or 4 ciphers going on where people are just doing the Enzo and Big Cass, like just like it, like they're those trying to like it was just wild. I was like, wow, this is really happening. And then soon thereafter, it wasn't happening as much, but the eating has some staying power for sure, and WWE can usually not keep things going like this. And I got to give them credit. We're coming up on like almost a year of this. So we'll see how much longer they can do it. But credit to them because, Jay's a star. He may not be the kind of the chosen one like some of those other guys. Right. But when it comes to someone who's kind of built themselves and created something, you got to give him a ton of credit for it. So
agreed.
Okay, so then, like Keila said, Brock Lesnar's music played. Then Brock comes in and he cleans house. But he kills everybody, and everyone knows Roman is coming in last. And so Brock steps out of the cage, and they had told us that if you left the cage during WarGames, that the match was over or you lost or whatever. And so they were very clear to say, well, that's only if the match beyond begins. Like right now, the match hasn't started. So Brock could go chase Roman. I was like, okay, like maybe you're making it up as it goes, but so what? So Brock and Roman, they do their thing. Roman hits like 3 Superman punches. He's going for the 4th. Brock catches him F5 into the table. Roman's out of the, Roman goes through the table. So that's how they start this thing. So, they're going through the rest of this match. Punk has the match won, it looks like, but then there's the pin is broken up. I couldn't actually tell who broke it up because then we saw the mask guy with in all black. He jumps the cage, gives Punk the super kick, and then the curb stomp. Then Breakker hits the ropes like 5 times before he hits the spear on Punk. Like it was like Punk was like turning and he's like, oh no, it's not that one, I gotta turn again. Nope, it's not that one, I gotta turn again. I was like, man, Punk might get speared in the back, he better be careful. But nope, takes a spear. Braun wins the match, and this was when Roman helps up Punk. They fist bump, goes to help Cody's not about that life, gets in his face. Roman says this is the last time that we'll ever team, and then the show goes off the air. So thoughts on the men's match, and also just grade this show as a whole. Cal, you can go first.
Gosh, men's match in general, similar to the ending of the women's match, it was kind of just like all right, like it was just a really not flat, but it didn't feel like Survivor Series past where they've ended on this a note to actually talk about when when the show's over. Great. I haven't right now, probably a C. I mean, I think there's some Liv's return. I think the Cena Dom match did what I thought it was going to do. There were a couple of moments throughout the night, but it definitely wasn't a night that I'm trying to go back. I may watch Cena Dom again, but for the fun of it, I'm not watching anything back, because I enjoyed the wrestling on the show. Yeah, I would go see. I did have a question though, random question. If a WarGames match doesn't start till everybody gets in the ring, how do those matches also have 40-minute time? Those matches should be like 10-15 minutes at the most, right? I'm sorry. C for me. A C for me.
All right, Keila, thoughts?
It was a perfectly fine men's WarGames match. I was going to flip my lid if it had more hardcore elements than the women. And then I said, well, this is subdued too.
Yeah.
Like, let's retire WarGames for 5 years. Let's just go back to basics, because
Give it back to NXT. Let NXT rock.
Let them run with it. Yeah.
CGG. This is what they should do. They should swap. Give the main roster the Deadline gimmick, the Iron Survivor Challenge. Give WarGames back to NXT, and I promise you, the difference it will make for both brands and promotions would be night and day. They would benefit from it. Do like a swap every other year. Just shake things up. This concept, to me, this year is dead. They didn't even try to make this creative or interesting. And as I said at the top, I felt like the injuries last year were extensive for the men, and that's probably why they wanted to be a little bit less violent. But if that's the case, don't do WarGames. Don't marry yourself to this gimmick if you're not going to go all out anymore. Logan Paul, I will say, was selling his butt off. The 1D sell job was fantastic. He did his thing there. The match was fine. I will also go with C for the show. This is 0 for 3. I enjoy Crown Jewel well enough waking up early in the morning in the US back in October. But when you're telling me that, according to Paul Levesque, we are in our final form in WWE, we have reached the pinnacle. If this is the final form, I want a refund. Literally, I want a refund from you, from ESPN, from Disney, because this ain't it. This should not be the quality that you're turning out. In stadium shows for people shelling out money, not only in the stadiums, but at home now. You're asking people to pay $30 a month for your stuff. It's got to be better than this. It's got to be better than this. And now the concern is the Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia. It's not going to be in the regular time slot. It's going to be early in the day. That's another strike. So then you have Elimination Chamber as your next show to get over heading into WrestleMania. Can they get it done? I honestly don't know. It just feels, as someone said in the chat, directionless. I even see Paul Levesque's post-show interview. It's so paint by the numbers. Even he's bored right now. Like,
well, I think he'd rather be bored than someone ask him a real question that he has to figure out.
Good point.
Like, yeah, he'd rather do that versus asking and answering serious questions.
Yeah.
Because it's quite possible he still hasn't read the lawsuit, so no one asked him that question.
It's been 2 years. I haven't even opened page 1. I don't know what this is.
We're making movies. We're going to Saudi Arabia.
So I'm glad that you brought up. I still call him Triple H. I'm glad you brought that up, because how I was going to end this was, since Paul Heyman said that we're kind of kicking off like stuff, you'll know some stuff for WrestleMania. Triple H has, since he took over for Vince McMahon, he's had some really, really strong angles that have really brought this product back a little bit more towards the mainstream. And at the same time, there was some stuff that happened this year that I thought was just kind of flat and uninteresting and really creative. Like, think of your favorite television show. It's really hard to stay at a great level for a long period of time. Wrestling historically is also cyclical. For every Attitude Era, actually for more than every Attitude Era, Vince McMahon had some like really bad years where I was just like, why am I even watching this anymore? It's that bad. So where are we with Triple H? Do you have faith, and Cal, you can go first. Do you have faith that he's still got some stuff up his sleeve heading into WrestleMania, that they can still kind of keep this hot period? It's slowing down. It's not as hot, but they are still much higher than they were, 7 or 8 years ago. It's like still night and day compared to then. Do you have faith that he has some stuff left in the tank and that they're going to get through 2026 where this thing is still cooking?
It's going to be rough, but I think 2026 will be a rougher year creatively for those of us who are watching, whether we're covering it or just fans, than it was in 2025, only because it doesn't, and I forget who said it earlier, it doesn't feel like the people are going to be stopping buying tickets. And that's really the key. It's right now. I don't know if WWE's plateaued, but I think they've become comfortable with giving the people what they want and not really much else. Like, you want the John Cena reunion or end of his retirement tour, you're going to get that tour and you're going to get a bunch of moments. They're not all going to be great. You wanted a John Cena heel turn? Yeah, you're going to get that. We're not going to put much. We're not even really going to know what we're doing with it. But you wanted the heel turn on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get a lot of these things, and AJ Styles sounds like he's going to be leaving next year. There's a lot they could do with that. You're going to get some great matches. You're probably not going to get everything you want. It's probably not. What's he doing with the tag titles? You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that go on in this company that, it can make you really frustrated. But then I remember that if there's a little bit of nostalgia, a Hardy Boys return or something like that, people will forgive a lot. If they can get one or two things, whether it's, at the big show, or the thought of Adam Copeland somehow leaving his AEW contract to have one more match with John Cena. Like, people will talk themselves into these things. So I think they will have some saving graces. It's once like WCW, like a lot of this stuff, once the people who are still paying wise up and say, hey, we're not getting what we're paying for, that's when they're going to realize that that there's an issue going on, which is, it's going to suck for everybody because it may be too late at that point.
It almost feels like it's always that way, right?
Yeah.
When you realize that it's gone, it's like too late to even try and get it back, which is kind of historically. Keela, your confidence in one Jean-Paul Levesque, his former WCW name, in him continuing this hot period, or maybe even reclaiming some of that they may have lost this year, though they don't have the John Cena retirement angle to kind of be the the thing that gets them through the year. Do you think he's still got it? You think he's still got some stuff up his sleeve?
I want to say yes. I'm going to even push back a little bit further in terms of the timeline. They're not going to get this back together until 2027. It's going to be a minute, because I think the downturn starts next year officially. The big test is going to be going back to Las Vegas for WrestleMania for 2 nights. You cannot deliver slop like you did this year and get away with it. I also believe, because I kind of felt like the turn for WWE was WrestleMania back in 2022 when Vince was still there. I just felt like something's happening, something's bubbling. Same thing with AEW. Their peak was in 2021. They went down in 2023. It took them a couple of years to get back to where they are right now. It still has flaws, obviously, but they're in a better spot than they were a year ago. WWE, it's like dummy proof in terms of money, but creatively, they're in a rut. And I don't see it getting better for the next couple of years. And once ticket sales go down, and they will go down, because you're pricing out your fans. When that happens, that is when they will wake up and realize, oh God, we're running off our paying customers. What can we do? The creative is kind of whack too. What can we do to re-engage an audience? They're going to have to hit that plateau. I think it's coming at this year's WrestleMania, because I think TKO is getting greedy by running the same market. You need to have these cities bid for WrestleMania, run the show, grow that economy for that city for that year, and keep it pushing. If you don't do that, I'm telling you, going back to the same place over and over and over again, you will run that market into the ground.
Yeah. And then, y'all was all out there in Vegas this past Mania?
Not Keela. Keela, you didn't go, but I was out there.
I talking to the people who live out there. I had a Lyft driver was like, "Yeah, it's bad for Vegas this year. Nobody wants to come." When I got home and I was doing my little research, it's gone down, and the tourism has been going down. you're going back to that market where, and for the people who went, again, shouts out to my squad. We all said we're not going back to Vegas. Like, it just wasn't a good time. If you're not a Vegas person,
Yeah.
It takes too long to get places. It'd be expensive getting places. It's not. There are a lot of people that weren't vibing out there, so I do think that's a great point. This will be a real big test because there's a lot of people who didn't want to go this past year.
Yeah, I thought the Vegas market for WrestleMania, it was a weird crowd to me. I don't know why I felt this way, and I don't know if you felt this way, Cal, but it felt to me like WWE themselves were like, they're just like too into their own stuff. It was like, we can do no wrong. This thing is going to last forever. And I was like, I'm not sure, like the version of Wrestle, like you put those 2 nights of WrestleMania together. I don't know. Were there like 4 good matches?
Right.
Yeah,
It was about 4.
It wasn't the best show. And then I know that, they're running their talent all over town. Like, Jey Uso probably got like 2 hours of sleep all weekend.
That man was working.
But, at the same time, when you do get that community out there, there were some great moments. Like I thought Wale Mania was great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kazim. I know he's got a big part of that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that show a lot. And then also, Andres Hale's little get together, like those moments are what I'm going to remember from that weekend rather than actual WrestleMania. So, when you get the community out there, it's still fun, but like the show in of itself, as big as it is these days, it did feel a little bit like, they're a little cocky right now. And, they should, they could be into themselves a little bit, feeling themselves, but if you are, then you got to deliver on the bigness of these shows. And I didn't think that last year was that good or this year was that good of a year for them delivering on it.
They probably made a lot of money in Vegas this past year, especially they were running all of those club events every night, and there were so many stars coming through, and like the VIP packages were out the door. I also wondered, that's why I mentioned the Vegas economically just being in a downward spiral. I wonder if they got it for, not only say discount, but like, if they got it for a good price, especially because of what they were able to do this past year. And they got it off the strength of Cody slapping Roman the year before. Like, I think they like the idea of WWE coming in and the hope of pumping stuff up. But I also wonder if they knocked some gave them a discount for running back there another year. It's a win-win for WWE. I would assume people who are going to pay, but they may not be coming out this year.
From what I understand, Vegas ponied up this year big time to bring them back.
Makes sense.
Probably for the reason that you just said, which is it's just down, and they need events like this to run the town.
It'll be a week for some people. They'll be there. They will be in Vegas, but
yeah, and it's 2 nights of the big event, and then you got your shoulder events, and wrestling fans show out for the independent stuff as well. That especially coming overseas and stuff. So it's good for them for sure. And I think what they believe will happen is when they take WrestleMania away in 2027, they're going to sell 2028 on, we're coming back. You missed us last year. And, that's what they're going to sell it on. And I'm not sure that's going to work. They better hope that they are hotter than
fish grease,
as good old Jim Ross. I was going to say donut grease as
facts.
Jim Ross would have said. So that is it, just the whole. And somebody mentioned 7-Eleven mentioned doesn't have faith in TKO. TKO is running this thing like how you need to market things that are hot. Yeah. Now, does that mean that because of the marketing, it kind of accentuates WWE not being hot. And then what does WWE do? Triple H goes, well, you guys kept raising the tickets, and then the ticket sales were falling, and I couldn't do anything creatively to get it back because the fans were already dissatisfied and out of pocket. And so like that is going to be the interesting thing if that happens, kind of this like disconnect with pro wrestling and with how TKO is running the business. So I don't want to see that happen. Obviously I want to see pro wrestling be as strong as humanly possible, but you can sort of sense when Mark Shapiro is, at these conferences and he's making statements and comments about like, yeah, like Vince McMahon wasn't the smartest guy when it came to ticket prices. Like we have the data and we understand this more. And thus, WWE was always underselling their stuff. And now we're getting what it's really worth. It's like, yes, but I don't know if Mark Shapiro has ever been in a wrestling time frame when the business goes down. Then what do you do? I'm sure he'll figure that out if they do get there. But I think that's going to be an interesting thing to follow. If you're a fan of following the business, is what happens when they do get cold. How does TKO change things in the way that they do business? And we'll have to see. Right now, things are great, and they seem to be strong. Though ticket sales are a little bit down, but then you look at DC and it's like, damn, they got 16,000 people in that building, and the ticket prices are out of insane. So.
It's that final Cena again. You as long as you can get a couple of those things that people want to go see. I need to be in the building moments. They can pad it out, but I don't know if the AJ Styles is going to do the same thing next year.
Gunther's beating that dude too.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Hey, Cal, this was awesome. I'm so happy that you were able to do this with us.
It was great. Thank you.
Where can people find you? What do you got on your plate? What's going on?
I'm currently just doing a bunch of the writing. So if you want to follow me, at Cal on Twitter, at CalDub on Instagram, at Black Wrestling on all the social medias every Thursday night, 8:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube.com/Black Wrestling. We're doing pods, interviews, a lot of my nonsense with a bunch more 4-letter words and shenanigans over there every Thursday night. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun.
And Keela, you and Scott will be back Tuesday evening on YouTube and then in the feeds Wednesday morning with your follow-up to Survivor Series.
Yes, we will. I am waiting for Scott's response to the show. He might love things more than I do, which makes our show so much fun, so we can debate friendly about things I didn't like and things he liked. But I have a feeling we're going to be in agreement about most of this, I do believe.
All right. So, check them out. Go check out Cal. Love your brain for this stuff, and really appreciate you coming on with us. All right, thanks to folks in the chat, 7-Eleven, of course, as always, Fernando and Brad Drip 5071 for hanging out with us during this show. All right, for Cal, for Keela, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.